on the clock in a flock community contest. Uh, I just prefer Jettas by like a decent bit to McCaffrey. To be honest, I do think it's a meaningful conversation whether I should go McCaffrey over Jettas, specifically because I don't have much McCaffrey. But I think for most people, most leagues, most of what you want, especially in this underdog format, I prefer Jettas a little bit. McCaffrey comes with a longer list of concerns and just potential ways that this goes awry than Jefferson. Jefferson's healthy. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league. Even if McCarthy sucks, guess what? If he sucks so bad that Jefferson's not, being Justin Jefferson, then I don't think McCarthy will start. Like, if he's that bad that you think it impacts Justin Jefferson to a substantial degree, KOC will put someone else in there. That's just the reality. The bigger concern for McCaffrey would be injury stuff. But to be fair, we've seen McCaffrey go, insane season, injury season, insane season, injury season, insane season. Like, it's just been his career. This would mark out to be another, like, really good McCaffrey season. Time will tell whether he can hold up or not. McCaffrey at 11, that is just a steal and a half. Here at pick 19, I do really like Ladd. As we look at our later picks running back wise, 30 and 43 can get a little bit more difficult, so I don't mind just taking an easy pick in Chase Brown here. I personally think Chase Brown is in a slight tier ahead of these other three backs simply because of combination of workload or just offensive efficiency. Jacobs is close behind, but I think Brown's going to get such a higher level of receiving workload that he'll edge Josh Jacobs out in most scenarios. He beats out Bucky Irving to me simply because he has higher, volume, higher command of his backfield. I do think, said it many times, Rashad White I still fully believe is going to be a part of this offense at the running back position for the Buccaneers. And then for Jonathan Taylor, I worry about the offense just being not one of the best. So touchdowns will certainly be tougher to come for Taylor. But Taylor is still a great pick simply because of the volume that he's likely going to get this year. To me, what's very interesting to see is how Ladd McConkey's ADP has been considerably affected by his brief injury and the Rashawn Slater injury, but Hampton has not changed at all from the fact that he lost like the best player on their offensive line. Like I would have thought people would have adjusted that more. I'm gonna have a real hard time drafting Hampton at pick 30 when his offensive line just took a major hit, and I still like Greg Roman has traditionally never given a back full reign of the backfield. Like Hampton will be a clear one, but by all of the history of Greg Roman's offenses, like the two in that offense is still going to get a bit of work, and he doesn't throw to the running back much very often in his schemes. Like there are clear flaws in O'Marion's profile, at least as a rookie. Like it's 30 is a steep price to me, especially when you're getting Ladd at 20. Like that is a little skewed in my opinion. Gonna go Pickens here. He's a player that I both like a lot, and after taking him a decent bit earlier in the season, I have admittedly I've been drafting him less, and I do want to up my shares of him. So I think Pickens is a lot easier in a best ball format than in your home league, even with what should be a high scoring Dallas offense, especially if they lose Micah Parsons this year. Their defense will take a massive hit, and the offense will have to score more to stay in games. With all of that in consideration, I still believe that Pickens is going to be fairly up and down, fairly boom or bust this year. CD will get his, and then you'll have an occasional game where Pickens will really blow up. But I do think there will be some weeks where Pickens just doesn't, do a ton, just by by the factor of the type of receiver he is and the existence of CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. So a lot easier pick for me in best ball than in like your ESPN or Yahoo home league, but I still like Pickens a lot this year. I think you should see a massive step forward. The bigger question long term for Pickens is whether his off the field stuff can keep him in check, because I fully believe if Mike Tomlin is like, yeah, we're going to move on from you, then you got to be quite a headache. With this next pick, though, a bevy of options here, to be quite honest. Kenneth Walker wouldn't be the worst. I feel like people might be overreading the Charbonnet bump. We're going to go Hubbard, though, for bye week reasons, and just close out at running back. And then I have a fair number of players that I like later that we can attack at wide receiver. But now at running back, we have three players that have a heavy command of their backfield. Two on much better teams, one admittedly Hubbard being on a worse team. But we know we have the volume to sustain at running back now, and we can just target a bunch of wide receiver values. One who I like a ton is Ricky Pearsall. I don't want to buy in too much into the preseason success, but this is more so just situation. With two fellow 49ers wide receivers on the shelf right now, Pearsall has a lot of opportunity, and I also just think he's good. Like, so give me both the talent and opportunity. It feels like a pretty good pick most of the time. I mean, I'm dumb, but I don't. I'm not that. Am I that dumb? I might be that dumb. Screw it. I mean, this is a $10 flock community. I might as well do something weird. I'll take Connor 10 spots after ADP almost. 8 spots after ADP. We also now have a matchup between him and Chase Brown 17. That's the real justification, especially to do it here. And we just don't draft another running back. Like Charbonnet has to be taken off the board here. Our last running back's going to be a last pick. And we really need some wide receiver value. This is the opposite. One of the last drafts I did where it was like full zero running back. Now we're a little too heavily invested in running back. Hopefully that doesn't bite us in the ass. But in a $10 draft, I'm more than willing to cut loose a little bit, test out, get a little weird, get a little wonky, and see if it has anything that I could maybe take into some of my higher entry drafts. I really want to take Sam Laporta here, but I don't know if I can justify it. Screw it. I'm a wild guy. I should definitely fix my queue so I don't auto draft fucking Elijah Arroyo there, though. I don't know how we got Khalil Shakir here, but that's a major windfall. Yes, he has the injury. Shouldn't be an issue for too long past week 1 or 2. I don't think it goes into week 2, even to be quite honest. But I don't want to speak on it like I'm a fact. I'm not the doctor in there. So, but by everything that I've seen, Shakir should be good. Likely ready week 1. If anything, he'll be ready week 2. Shouldn't take too much time for him to ramp back up. Cup is a little bit of a decision there. If Shakir wasn't there, simply because we have the Hubbard game stack now. I don't love Cup, but I do think even in his older age, he can kind of be Adam Thielen, and that's not because they're both white wide receivers. It's because he's always been great in the red zone, great red area threat. Even if in his older age he does not recapture the volume and yardage that he had in his historic season, I still think he can be a TD merchant. He was never quite the TD merchant that Thielen was. Thielen was always like a heavy red zone area guy, but I think Cup can easily transition into that. At this next pick, though, I think Mooney's great. Still a little bit on the shelf here, week to week. I'm hoping that we get some more positive news before we get there. I do think his role is a lot more ironed out, secure than Jaden Higgins is. And I also really like the upside. Penix has a hell of an arm. If the Atlanta offense happens to be better, Mooney can have some great spike weeks for us. Given how weak our wide receiver room is, I don't think you can take Ayuk here. Yes, if you were to somehow scrape by, he'd be great to have. But the reality is he's probably just putting us too far behind, both in other positions and still leaving our wide receiver room, without the support that it needs. So with that in mind, Goff is a fine pick. We have Laporta for it. We have the bring back against Jefferson week 17. We get our quarterback there, and I think some of the wide receivers I can get later will season long have the same output as some of these other guys, especially considering like Burden's an okay pick, but with no San Francisco bring back, I don't really care about the difference between what his mean range of outcomes in like Hollywood Brown or Joshua Palmer or Cedric Tillman's median or mean range of outcomes are. They feel very similar to me. With that said, though, getting either one of them 10 spots after ADP makes it a whole lot easier, to be fair. McCarthy is a consideration here, but I think I have to take the wide receiver here, knowing that we have a chance for one of them to be something meaningful. If we had some higher, this is going to sound a little contradictory, but if we had some other higher end wide receiver investment, I'd feel more comfortable taking Ayuk. You need that volume for Ayuk to actually have an impact on your team. If he's not going to be here for half the season, we need a wide receiver that's actually going to give us some value and get us to advance. Burden, while I said I don't love the pick at 115 without any bring back, 10 spots after ADP feels a lot easier, and there's a slight chance, slight opportunity that he does, in fact, get that Amon-Ra role. I've said it before, though, I'm not entirely sold on that just yet. I do think DJ Moore will be the prime beneficiary this year of a similar role to that. Could certainly be wrong, and if I am wrong, then it's great that we have Burden. If we somehow get Ayuk at this next pick, we'll be feeling even better about it. Ayuk or McCarthy, honestly. Ayuk goes off the board right before us. That's a shame. And obviously, don't take me potentially taking Ayuk there as a omission of all the problems that I just stated about him. It's simply that after taking Burden, then also getting Ayuk that far after ADP, to be fair, this could just be the ADP adjustment to most people realizing, hey, Brandon Ayuk isn't going to play until halfway through the season. I think there was a lot of optimism earlier in the offseason about that ADP, about when he'll be back. So this could just be an adjustment period. His ADP might shift to a lot later than how you currently see it. Regardless of that, we would have had the many between him and Burden 17, which makes that pick a lot more enticing, a lot more valuable, despite all of those problems that I just went through with him. Interesting there. Yeah, let's do it then. We'll go Penix here. I was heavily considering. Demario Douglas is fine. In half-point PPR, it's a little bit more difficult. Hopefully we can, get Ray McLeod. Maybe we get an ADP value with Algier here. This is the Krusky Merritt. I still need to figure out how to perfectly pronounce his name. I'm already slipping over my words. I really don't know where his ADP lines up. This Brian Robinson news is so confusing to me. Very strange trade deal, like right before the season. Who knows where he's going to end up? But I would use this. Yes, while I'm just going to call him JCM. While JCM certainly has a ton of value, I'm just going to use this to further increase my Eckler shares, especially when people are going to be taking him like significantly above ADP. Like JCM is a late round rookie. Eckler is not going to take over the backfield, but this does mean one thing, and it's that Eckler is going to have a solidified role. Like he's the incumbent veteran. Eckler, I don't think the Commanders are ever going to see him taking a significant like featured role again, like he had earlier in his career with the Chargers. But this to me just guarantees that Eckler is like one of the safest late round picks, given that he's going to get a lot of receiving workload, and now the starter is out of the picture. Like this is great news for Austin Eckler fans. And we also have that game with Pickens against Washington, Week 17. If we do get Eckler here, which I honestly do hope we do, this will be our last running back. We'll fill out at tight end and wide receiver with the rest of our picks. Given that we have Laporta, we may be able to sit on 2. Rashad White and Najee Harris are good ADP values here, but we are just going to take Eckler. With these final 4 picks, though, I expect we'll probably just go 2 and 2. Given the ADP values that we got at wide receiver, I feel a little bit more comfortable. It's not great. We'll see what the tight ends look like on the board. I can be swayed between 3 versus 2 wide receivers here. We are going to take a look at here. I don't love him, but it's an ADP value. We already have a little bit of Carolina. No Seattle bring back yet, but I do think we'll get there with Arroyo. Also means that I don't necessarily have to take Isaac Tesla. We still might. I definitely want Ray McLeod. I think he's undervalued in most drafts. They're ugly picks, but they're valuable at this point. We'll just take Thielen, and then we'll close out with Arroyo into McLeod. Sit at 2 tight ends. Given the ADP that we invested in Laporta, I don't think it's wrong to sit at 2 tight ends. Arroyo is admittedly a riskier proposition, given that he doesn't have the full role yet. We'll consider other tight ends on the board. Getting Likely at this 187 pick would have been awesome, and I would have felt really comfortable at 2 tight ends there. Likely should be back fairly close to the early part of the season, and then be ready to be a high ceiling, low floor tight end play. Getting both Leggett and Thielen past ADP at these values does make Bryce Young potentially the better pick over Penix at that pick that we selected Penix with. Bryce Young was still on the board, but with no Bryce Young to play into, and we already had Mooney. And I wasn't going to bet on getting both these receivers that far past ADP. That's not what I'm going to do. Arroyo with these 2 Carolina bringbacks certainly makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's just a massive ceiling play. We have the floor, hopefully, with Laporta each week. And now Arroyo, if he can earn that first-team role, I mean, we've heard a ton of coach speak about how much they love him. We now have, 2 players for him to play into in 17. Oh, he's by Week 8, though. We'll just go Gesicki. I'm not too worried about Gesicki being out early in the year when we have Laporta. Obviously, it's not great. You don't want to buy into too many players that are injured to start the season, but Laporta gives us the floor that hopefully when Gesicki's back, he can just be a TD-dependent option for us, give us a little bit of depth. I assume he'll be back by Week 8, which is when we're really going to need him. Shame about Arroyo, though, that I didn't see that by Week 8. Happy we caught it, though, before the pick happened. And then we will close this draft out with Ray McLeod. Get another target for Michael Penix Jr. there, and we can quickly review here. We got Goff for a matchup with Jefferson and a stack with Laporta. We are very running back heavy. We have Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, and Austin Eckler. Conner plays Brown 17. Kyron plays our Atlanta stacks with Penix, Mooney, and Raymond McLeod, who I just realized I haven't picked yet. My brain fully fast-forwarded to the end of the draft. We also have McCarthy stacking into Jefferson and playing further into that Detroit-Minnesota game. Hubbard does play Seattle, which we did not end up getting any of, but things can still go good with us without that. Eckler does play into Pickens, 17. We have a Shakir ADP value there, which hopefully should give us, the breathing room we need to be alive in our wide receiver position. Luther Burden past ADP, Mooney we already discussed, and then 2 ADP values here in Carolina. And then just Gesicki backup tight end. We close this out with McLeod. So appreciate you being here. Appreciate you watching. I will be back again tomorrow, as always, with another draft. Till then, be good, draft well, stay safe. Peace!